On part 3, we're going to learn how to thread the machine, how to thread the top, how to thread and wind. Excuse me, bug. Alright, today is part 3, how to thread the top, how to thread and wind the bobbin, and how to get it ready for sewing. Okay, I'm going to show you how to change the needle. This needle I have to put in really tight, otherwise it comes loose. So I take that needle out. You need to change your needles quite frequently. See, this one's a little bit bent. It's very bad. You don't want to keep bent needles. And really, needles are pretty much the same. It's funny how some go in vogue and out of vogue. These are just universal needles. They're 90-14 because I was using some thicker threads earlier. So you unscrew that little screw there. You push this in. The needles have a flat back on them and a rounded side. So you put that flat back away from you, completely away from you. Push the needle all the way up in, tighten with your finger, and if you wish to, tighten with the screwdriver too, and I like to with this machine. Right, that's how we change a needle. Okay, now we're going to do the next part, which is put the thread on top of the machine. Take your thread. This does not matter if you have it come off the roll this way or this way. Just pop it on there. Mine has a hook in the back. A lot of machines, there's a hook right here on top. And this is true in general. There's going to be a hook here or in the back, and you're going to run it through the front of the machine. Then you're going to run it all the way down, and you would think, oh, I put it in the needle. Not yet. You haven't come across the tension yet. So that goes through there. This basically just holds your thread. This goes back up then, and there is a hook. This piece here goes up and down, up and down. There's a little hook inside there that it goes through, and we go down and around. There's another hook down here by the needle that it has to come around, and then you are ready to thread the needle and through there. Once you've removed the bobbin from the bobbin case from the bottom, once you get your bobbin off of there, make sure you have good quality bobbins that fit your machine. Put it on the top here. This one just has a little nub. Different ones have different things, but the concept is generally the same. You're going to have to take this thread and leave it in that first hook that was up here. For me, it's in the back. And then there's going to be a little stub like this. Sometimes they're all the way out here, and they'll have an arrow on them. Make sure your thread goes on where that arrow starts and ends where that arrow ends. And you'll notice that your thread's actually going to cross over each other. That keeps that thread going at the right tension, at the right spot. Then you thread it through. There's a little hole on top here, and sometimes there'll be lots of holes, and you thread it through one of those. It doesn't matter. And then you hold that end. All right, or at least set it there. Over here on the end, on these old machines, I know this sounds complicated. It's really not that bad. One dial will go one way and the other dial will go the other. So you're going to grip this dial, and you're going to turn this top dial away from you, turn the center one towards you. And at some point you'll feel it loose, and you get it so that the center one is all the way loose. The reason you do that is because when you wind this, you don't want your needle over here going up and down while you're winding it. This one has a little knobby thing. Most of them will. When this pops out, it tells the sewing machine to stop winding on here. You don't want it too fat, otherwise it won't fit back in here, and then it won't fit in there and you'll have problems. And this helps the sewing machine to stop. Then you're going to go and push on your presser foot on the bottom. your foot. Then you're going to push on your foot pedal on the bottom and it will spin and this needle will not. Now I'm watching this and it's getting a little bit fatter on top than it is on the bottom, so I'm just going to kind of push it. Every once in a while I'll push it down and then it will do some more on the bottom. If I kind of put my finger underneath it and pull it up, it will do some on the top. You want it to spin on here evenly so it comes off evenly. You don't want it lopsided, so watch as it spins. I don't spin mine particularly slow, but there are people who say you should do it slow. For me, I use mostly white and black, so I like to do a couple of these at one time so I don't have to keep resetting up the machine, but that may not be you. And then you just simply cut it right there. This comes back out. You rethread your top machine, your top thread, pull the bobbin out, making sure that when the thread comes off, it turns, not counterclockwise, it turns that little hole clockwise. Then you put it into thing again through that notch, around through in between the gap there. Then it should come out through this little window in your bobbin case. Push it in around that peg until it snaps and you're ready to start sewing again. Oops, ha! Nope, got to tighten this back up again. You've got to hold the outside one and then screw the inner one back in, and then your tension, if you forget, you just won't be able to sew. So it's not going to hurt anything if you forget. Now I've got thread down here, thread up here. I'm going to slowly turn this down and through there, just one turn. Hold this thread as you're doing that and pull it up, and voila. When you pull this out from the bottom, just do one stitch. Both your threads will now be on top. You can close that up and you're ready to sew. Alright, every once in a while there is a little dial up here that you'll want to mess with. I've always seen numbers, I've never seen plus and minus, but this one has plus and minus. Minus means that this top can feed through more freely. And then also there are times when you want to do tighter threads. Like if you want to do gathering, you can turn your stitch length all the way up. On this machine it's a 4, and you can do this really tight, and the machine will actually gather the fabric for you using the tension. Just when you go back to sewing, you want to make sure that you turn that tension back towards the middle so that your stitches have an even length. And what this does is that when the tension's really tight, the threads on the top are pulling this top threads through. It's really, really tight, and it's keeping it really tight on top. And on the converse of that, it's really, really loose, which means the threads are kind of just sitting on top, and you can kind of see that they're not really pulled into the fabric. You want them locked into the fabric so that they're both even, and you don't have one that's like this and you don't have one that's like this. Alright, that's what the tension does for you. Most of the time you just leave it at normal. Most of the time, don't touch that. Unless when you got it, there was a kid that was playing with it at the yard sale and this is all messed up. You want this in the middle. So I hope that helps you how to thread in general your machine, the top and the bottom. Please Please put any questions you may have down below in the comments. I tried to do my best to get there and to answer them. Happy sewing!